Okay, today's lesson is on angles and naming angles. So let's start. All right, an angle is formed by two rays with a common endpoint. This common endpoint is called the vertex. The rays are called the sides. Name an angle using three letters. The middle letter must always be the vertex. Use a single letter if there's only one angle located at the vertex. And referring to an angle, to a measure of an angle, we use the lowercase m. And here's an example. All right, so if I were to label this, I would say these are called sides. Here's a side of an angle. This is called the vertex. Okay, this, just so you know, these two rays are BA with a little ray symbol over the top, and BC, a little ray over the top. And when you name a ray, we can go over this, but to name a ray, you always start with the what's called the initial point and pass through what's called the terminal point. So you're passing through you have to start on the initial point and then name a point that the ray is going to pass through. You cannot say CB because that will send it the other direction. When you're talking about angles, this is called the vertex of the angle, and again, if only one angle is being formed using this vertex, then you can name it by just its one letter. So since this is only one angle, you could technically call this angle B if you wanted to. Okay, you can put a little angle symbol in front of it. If we want to name it using three letters, we would call this either angle ABC or angle CBA. Notice that the middle letter is always the vertex. So it's ABC, CBA, or angle B if it's the only angle that's being formed. Okay, there's four different types of angles. You've seen this before in earlier grades. This is called an acute angle. This is called an obtuse angle because it's more than 90 degrees. This is called a right angle because it's worth 90, and you can see this little box they usually show 90 degrees. And this one may or may not know, but this is called a straight angle, and this is worth 180 degrees going all the way through. All right. Okay, so here's for our first example. First example is name the vertex of this angle, and again, a vertex is a point. So this would be point K. Name the sides of the angle. We would say KJ and KL. Again, my vertex of my angle is always going to be my starter letters on my rays. Give three ways to name this angle. You could call this angle JKL, angle LKJ, or angle K. Classify this angle, and that means which type of angle is it? And since it's bigger than a 90-degree angle, this would be considered an obtuse angle. Okay, example number 2. Name the vertex of this angle. Again, that's a point. Okay, right here. If you want to think of it, it's kind of the bend of the angle. It's the one in the middle. Okay, name the sides of the angle. This would be ray SR and ray ST. Three ways to name the angle. Angle RST, angle TSR, or angle S. Classify this angle. Since I've got that marking right there, I know that this is a right angle. Okay. Next thing, congruent angles. If blank blank, then the angles are congruent. It's written as. Okay, so if the measure of angle A equals the measure angle B, then the angles are congruent. And we would say angle A is congruent angle B. We saw this congruent symbol when we were doing line segments. That's geometry for saying, hey, these two, the pictures of these two angles are exactly the same. This is saying the measurements of the two angles are the same. So this is the math part. This is saying 75 equals 75 degrees. And this is saying the angles are both the same size. Okay? All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is called an angle bisector. Okay, and an angle bisector is a ray, okay, that divides the angle into two congruent angles. Again, congruent means equal, so if you want to squeeze the word equal in there. Two congruent or equal angles. In the diagram to the right, angle BD is the angle bisector. Therefore, angle ABD, D, I said D and I wrote C. ABD is congruent to angle DBC. And I can't, again, here's an example where I can't say angle B ever, because B is being shared by multiple angles. There's like 3 different angles going on here. There's this big angle, ABC. Then there's a CBD and DBC. They're all being used. They're all using B. So I can't ever, in this particular case, I can't use angle B as my angle naming. I could not ever say angle B because it's being shared. Okay, 2 lines that intersect at a right angle. The symbol for perpendicular looks like an upside down capital T. So in this diagram to the right, L, which is an angle, is, or excuse me, that line is perpendicular to lowercase m, which is also the naming of a line. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is a kind of putting those 2 ideas together, perpendicular bisector. Okay, a line, segment, or ray perpendicular to a segment at its midpoint. And we talked about midpoint in our last lesson about segments, line segments. In the diagram, LM here, and it's a line segment, so we put a line segment symbol over the top, is perpendicular to line segment PQ. Okay, so LM, and again we know this because of this 90-degree angle sitting right here. Okay, and it's the bisector because these little symbols right here, this little notch here and this little notch here, are what are called congruent marks, and they tell the reader that those 2 are the same size. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go through and we're going to name some of these angles below. All right, and you could have something slightly different if you were doing this yourself, but that's why we're doing this together. This is why when I go to grade these types of things, it's kind of a pain because there are multiple ways of naming an angle. This one's just saying another name. So if we were looking at CBF right here, CBF, we could also go the other direction. FBC. Remember, we can't use just angle B because B is being used multiple times. So we can't just say angle B here. Okay, name the sides of EBD. Remember, sides are rays. Okay, so EBD. So EBD is, let me highlight this. EBD is right there. So EBD. So that means it's BE and BD. BE and BD. Remember, you're telling my eyes which way to look. So BE makes me go that way, and BD makes me go that way. So I follow kind of the arrow of the rays. All right, classify angle ABC. Okay, so ABC, it looks like it's completely straight. So that's exactly what this is called, a straight angle. Give an example of an obtuse angle. So I need something that's larger than 90 degrees. So it looks like actually the angle we already had, EBD, is already bigger than 90 degrees. So I'm going to say that. Okay. Name two congruent angles. All right, so two angles that are marked the same. All right, so where we had up here the little congruent marks for line segments, these are congruent marks, these little hash things right here. Let's see, I'll just darken these. This one and this one are showing the reader that these angles are the same size. Okay, those little marks. So that means that angle, we'll say FBC, 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 and ABE, ABE are both the same size. And again, you could have said EBA. I could have said FBC. You could have said CBF. So there's multiple answers to this question. That's why these types of things are much better for me if we do a multiple choice, because it's easier to check. But all right, so it says name a perpendicular bisector. Remember, a perpendicular bisector has to be a line segment, or a ray. And we're looking for it to be bisecting, so we got to look for the marks here. There's a mark right there. Okay, there's a mark here and a mark here, and then look for the 90-degree angle. So there's the 90-degree angle right here, and then we have two marks. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a mark on this line segment, a mark on this line segment. So it looks like to me that ray BD is our perpendicular bisector. Okay. All right, last one. Okay, name the vertex of angle 2. All right, so one more way to name an angle is by putting numbers inside of them. So like this ZTU is angle 3, this UTX is angle 2, and YTX or XTY is angle 1. So they're written on the insides of angles. Okay, so you can tell instead of naming them by letters, but only if they're already numbered. So the vertex of angle 2, okay, it looks like angle 2, that's going to be T. Name the sides of angle 4. So remember, we have two rays. Okay, so angle of sides of angle 4. So angle 4 is right here. So we're talking this angle right here. So I need to name this one and that one. So it looks like TW and TZ. All right, write another name for angle 3. So here's angle 3. So remember, I can't say angle T because T is being used multiple times. So I have to either say ZTU or the other way around, UTZ. Spells nuts. All right. Name another, write another name for angle 1. So here's angle 1. Okay, so we're going to say Y. I said Y, but wrote T. YTX. That's another way. All right, so now we have to classify these. That means we're going to be using acute, obtuse, right, or straight. So look at YTW. YTW. Okay, that's got a little 90-degree mark, so that's a right. Y, so you just follow with your eyes these letters. That's how you do angles. So YTU. YTU. Looks like obtuse. It's bigger than a capital L. That's how I think of it. Whoops. X. Where's X? XTU. 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 Okay, that's angle 2, basically. That's going to be acute. And last but not least, WTX looks like a straight line, otherwise known as a straight angle when we're talking about angles. All right, so it says name two perpendicular lines. All right, okay, so lines require two letters, remember, and we are looking for two that are perpendicular. So look for that 90-degree angle. So that's the key. So it looks like I could say YT, and I'll use the symbol even. YT, I could say YZ if I wanted to, but remember, it only takes 2 letters to name a line. So YT, and then if I go to this direction, because again, I'm looking at this 90-degree angle here, I got to name 2 points on this line. Any 2 points, it doesn't matter. So let's say WX. I'm just going to, just so you can prove that you can use any 2 letters. All right, in this case, I used WX. I do not have to use T. Just any 2 points named a line. And now I need an angle bisector. So I'm looking for a ray that cuts, because remember, sides of angles are always rays. Okay, name an angle bisector. So I'm looking for where it takes one angle and cuts it into 2. Well, right here, I have an angle, a congruent symbol here, and another one right there. So that tells me that angles 2 and 3 are the same size. That means this guy right here, TU, ray TU, has to be my angle bisector. Okay, TU. All right, hopefully this helps. We do have a second lesson all on a little bit of algebra mixed in with this angle addition stuff right now, but this is just naming and classifying angles. If you want to, I would suggest you go ahead and just start the assignment that just deals with this piece and then go on to the next section afterwards.